What's up, everybody? Colin Sheehan back here on Trust the Profits for your favorite show, Doubling Down. I've been on a little bit of a hiatus, battling some sickness, coaching hockey, Breeders' Cup. So I apologize for being away, but I appreciate all the support that I've continued to get on this show. I read all your comments. Anybody that wants to come aboard is more than welcome to come and try and hit a daily double. We're going back to Churchill Downs on this week's episode, and we have a new voice. I love bringing on new voices for this show to see how people will approach the daily double. A special shout out to my wife as we celebrate our 10th wedding anniversary today. Hopefully that brings me some luck on doubling down. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Doubling Down with Colin Sheehan. Please hit that subscribe button and please hit that like button. It does so much for the channel. And speaking of the channel, you may have seen Matt, Mr. Armchair Handicapping on Twitter. He started doing some content here on Trust the Profit. So I thought, why not put him in the hot seat? Matt, you'll be good to know that a lot of people haven't had success coming on here and hitting a daily double, as simple as it sounds. People love to go for those pick fours and pick fives, but you can't hit those before you can start putting some daily doubles together. First of all, welcome to the channel. We love your content that you've had so far explaining your charts. And are you ready to try and challenge doubling down?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on, and thank you for that welcome. And yeah, congrats to you and your wife for that 10 years. That's awesome.
Yes, I
Um,
don't know how she puts up with me.
yeah. But no, I'm excited to take a shot at this double, and I really like this first race, and looking forward to jumping into it.
How have you, you don't have a long history in horse racing, or you do, but how did you kind of come up with your formula and how did this come about? Because I think it's a pretty cool story.
Yeah, so I've been in it about 2, maybe 3 years. It really kind of started out as a lockdown project slash hobby. I started manually entering data into Excel from the past performances, and slowly over the years have done some research and developed some more formulas and different algorithms that I run the data through, and I've gotten to where I am now, and just switched over to my new MVP charts, which add both a pace and velocity aspect to my data. And it's really I liked how it turned out so far. So I've seen some good success with it.
It's very intriguing the amount of different formulas and AI that you're now starting to see, such as Equine Edge. I know the formula right here on this channel has his own.
Mhm.
You yourself, and there's so many of them that you see on Twitter, and I think it brings an interesting aspect to the game that you are foolish to not at least consider and think about. If you're someone that's an old school handicapper, give me the past performances and pen and paper, right? Let me go through them all. That's great, and everyone goes to where they're comfortable. But I'm so intrigued by the different ways people can apply that same amount of data and see what they come up with. So we're going to put your formula and yourself here to the test. We decided to go to Churchill Downs for Saturday, November 18th. We're going to look at race 10 and race number 11. I think you have an interesting race here in number 10 from a pace standpoint, where you have a lot of horses that want to be forwardly placed, but not necessarily anyone that wants to take the lead. And you also have some horses here that are going from turf to dirt. And to me, it was just a little bit of an odd race that you have as far as the dynamics that are setting up for race 10. I see that you have a particular interest here because you've singled a horse. So where did you end up on top here in race 10?
Yeah, so looking at my charts, I immediately jumped towards the 7 Falconet. Like you said, the pace scenario that I'm seeing, there's a lot of early pace, like you said, but not anybody particular that wants to be on the lead, and sometimes that can lead to somewhat of a volatile race. But with this race being more of a classier race and more experienced horses, I expect something more of a consistent pace scenario. But yeah, I really think the 7 here is going to get a nice pace advantage. It's proven itself at this velocity that the field's running at. So yeah, I'm really eyeing the 7 Falconet.
Yeah, and has had success at Churchill as well with the
Mhm.
first and the second place. 2 for 3 at the distance. Two things that I always love. You're getting the Todd Pletcher barn. I had a hard time figuring out. We don't have the morning lines as we tape this. I'm not really good at it anyways. So sometimes it's actually better for me to handicap without a morning line. But me trying to guess it is always a dangerous game, and this is always a dangerous game for me on this show. But I felt like probably Nostalgic, Hidden Connection, Au revoir, and probably Falconet would be the ones that I kind of had on that top tier, right? And that's kind of where I
Mhm.
honed in on. Excuse me. I thought the two Raindrops on Roses has been racing against lesser company. 2 month layoff, Light Figs. That was almost kind of an auto toss for me. Uh, Au revoir is interesting for sure. A horse that's 14 for 22 lifetime, and a horse that's won on both the dirt and the turf is always one to take interestingly. She Can't Sing, your number 5, is actually the winner of this race last year. Um, Last year had a race in September. This year hasn't raced since August, racing on the turf. Has had some success at Churchill. But I ultimately ended up on number 3, Hidden Connection, as my single. And it's interesting that you singled as well. We don't really talk about our tickets before we start taping this show. But in a race, when you're trying to put a daily double together, and you have like those 4 horses in tier 1 that I identified, when you got 2-year-olds in race 11, it allows me to like, let's pick one here. Like, take a stand, right? Don't be afraid to lose. Don't be afraid to be wrong. And we're both going in different angles, which is great. But it allows us to spread in the next race. And is that how you approached this daily double ticket?
Yes, that's pretty much exactly. I have about 2 or 3 horses in this first race that are that top tier, like you're saying, and I'm taking my shot with the 7. I think the 4 and the 3 will get into somewhat of a pace battle early on, so I'm expecting a little bit of wear down on them. So that 7 should get something to run off of pretty late into the stretch.
Yeah, and I saw that the reasons I like Hidden Connection is the fact that this horse has been racing primarily at a mile and a 16th, and sort of tends to just tire in that last 16th. I'm hoping
Mhm.
this cut back to a mile is exactly what Hidden Connection is going to suit well for Hidden Connection. But also, I didn't miss the fact that Tyler Gaffleone jumps aboard here, and Tyler Gaffleone had actually had some victories on Falconet. Now that was a little while ago, and there's always movement with connections and jockey trainers, so I don't want to
Right.
necessarily say that Tyler went to Hidden Connection over Falconet. But I do think it's interesting that you're getting Tyler aboard for the first time, I believe, at least on the races that I can see on my past performances, on a horse who is the grandsire under Curlin. So to me, obviously the mile and the 16th is a problem, but I don't think the mile is necessarily going to be an issue. And I like the fact that Hidden Connection, if we talked about like a lot of horses want to be forwardly placed, but who's going to go?
Hmm.
I'll take my shot with Hidden Connection, who's a horse that maybe is going to be the one that kind of jumps up and strength grabs that lead, you know?
Right.
There you have the prime power, and I like to show this from Brisnet only. The fact that the 141 to 131 there in your top 6 or 7 horses show that this is a competitive race. And I've highlighted the EPs there to show exactly what we talked about. So at least from a Brisnet standpoint, they're backing up that you got a lot of horses that are going to be forwardly placed, and I think you have a fairly competitive race. So we'll move on to race number 11, and this is the 2-year-olds, Matt. So this I'm interested to know, how do you handle the data on 2-year-olds for a lot of them who have not raced?
Yeah, so that's a good point. When it comes to data, my model's driven heavily by data. So with these 2-year-old races, especially maiden special weights, that lack of data can definitely skew some things when it comes to my charts. I have tried to build some workarounds just based off different aspects like connections that are workouts, workout patterns, trainers, stuff like that. So definitely takes into account velocity as well. That's another big one with maiden races. But yeah, this is a tough race to project here.
Where did you end up landing using some of those statistics?
Yeah, so I'm kind of spreading like we talked about earlier. I'm including some of the first time starters with the 5 and the 7, and then some of the top rated horses that have run a couple races. So I'm looking at the 6 and the 8 as well.
Yeah, if you have a system that finds velocity on workouts, it's hard to ignore the 5 and the 7, and those are two that I don't want to leave off. The 5 has 2 bullets on the paper, one both at Keeneland, both going 4 furlongs, but these aren't bullets where you see like 1 out of 5 or 1 out of 6, right? When it's a day when not many horses work out. This 5
Right.
on October 22nd was first out of 101 workouts at that distance. Comes back November 4th and goes 1 out of 39.
Yeah.
So Velvet Kisses is a horse that stood right out to me immediately. And I agree with you. The 5 is not someone I want to leave off. And then you mentioned the 7, exact same reason for me. November 10th at Churchill Downs is 1 out of 92. George Arnold with first time starters only hits it about 7%. Liam's Map hits it about 10%. Usually I like those numbers up around the 12s. But that last workout is exactly the same reason that I'm going to keep the 5 and 7 on my ticket as well. I'm going to tell you, Matt, that maybe the velocity didn't pick this up, but something that I'm paying attention to is watch out for number 3, Misenchanted, because right now I am not leaving any horses that are sired by Maximus Mischief off my ticket as 2-year-olds. Hitting at 23% for a first-time starter. This is one of those sires that has jumped right off the page at me early. And if I see a horse and hopefully we get a nice price, maybe obviously with West Point and $100,000 purchase, the public's going to be on there with me as well. But Misenchanted for Maximus Mischief, if you have to add one, Matt, this is one you don't want to miss.
Yep. No, I agree with you. I was eyeing this horse as well, but just to keep that ticket cost down, this is one that I had to cross off my list. But definitely one I agree to keep an eye on, especially if there's any scratches in this race.
Spend the extra $1, Matt. Come on, spend the extra
$1. Might as well.
You're light. Who else did you go? So you said the 5, the 7?
Yeah, so I've got the 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9.
What do you? Anything on the 6 or 8?
Just the ranks in my charts, to be honest. 6 has got some great velocity compared to the rest of the field, and the 9 has some good pace advantage, I think. So it's going to be a very competitive race, and I think we'll definitely get some value somewhere in this race. I think it's going to be a pretty wide bet race.
Yeah, for those of you that are new to horse racing, horses learn so much from their first to second start. So taking a horse like the 9 who has that start under the belt is extremely important. But by the way, I don't have the 8 on my ticket, but that's one of the best names for a horse that I've seen in a long time. So Cabernet spelt like that's well done there in naming that
Very
horse.
funny, yes.
I used the number 11. This damn Vuitton had 2 wins at Churchill Downs. Horses out of her are 6 for 22. Son Hador, the Sires Union Rags, who's obviously very good on the dirt. You're getting a 6 furlongs. 11 is a horse that I liked as well. And then I agreed with you on the 6 with Copper Drop. You're getting Ricardo Santana for Steve Asmussen, which I always love. This dam, so the Sires, 35 starters, 6 wins, 6 seconds, 3/3. I think the dam was much better as a dirt router, so I think that this horse is going to be better on the dirt. This horse, number 6, started the career going 5.5 furlongs on the turf at Keeneland with a 3rd place finish. So although it's not the dirt, did maybe get that race experience. So I didn't want to leave a horse off like number 6 on my ticket as well. So I single Hidden Connection in the first leg and go 3, 5, 6, 7, 11 in the second leg. Matt goes 7 as a single with the 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Both those tickets are only going to cost you $5. Matt's ticket's going to cost you $6 because I'm recommending that all of you add the 3. All right, Matt. So I don't want you to come on and miss if a Maximus Mischief wins and I don't give that tip to you. So does that work for you? You'll spend the extra $1?
Yeah, I agree. Twist my arm. You got me.
All right, add the dollar. Matt, what videos do you have next coming up on Trusted Profits? Are you focusing anywhere in your charts this week?
Nowhere this week. I'll have something for early next week, probably something through Monday or Wednesday cards. But big racing day for Friday and Saturday. We've got a whole slew of stakes races on Saturday, so I'm expecting. I plan on running, I think, 6 or 7 different tracks that day, so it's going to
Next
be a
week?
big one. This coming Saturday.
Oh, this Saturday. Okay, because next week
Or
we got
today.
yeah. Next week we got the Street Sense, which is another Kentucky Derby prep. Next
Right.
Saturday. So we'll be back for that, for doubling down, as we already start to turn our attention to Kentucky Derby 2024. The preps have been sporadic. We obviously had the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. You get the Street Sense. You get one more or two more in December, and then they start coming at you fast and furious. So stay here. Hit that subscribe button. Check out Matt at the Armchair Handicapping on Twitter. He's got his link in there for his show. And until next time, may all of you have best of luck in your doubling down in your daily double tickets. Please put your tickets in the comments and I will be happy to respond. Until next time, thanks for joining me, Matt.
Thank you.